Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. I am trying to fix a problem that I have here on my barn, baby barn, that I built about 1.5 years ago. And that is, I don't have eave or gutters on these yet. And so if it's raining and I try to get in here, I mean, there's water rushing down here everywhere. And it hits this concrete and splatters up on the door. As a matter of fact, I'm concerned that over a period of time, my door will start rotting. I see that there's some mold and stuff building up there because it's staying wet here on this back side where it doesn't get the sun so much. So I am going to put, it's close to a 6 foot, probably, I mean 5 feet, I guess it'd be closer to 5 feet, stoop over this, or a roof. Now, the good thing about this is that I've actually got, I'm using on this hardy board siding, so there's no nails on the bottom edge. And so the very first step I did is I got a piece of flashing up there before I put my sill on, and then I took a couple putty knives, or like 6-inch putty knives, or drywall knives, slid them up in behind my hardy board and loosened it up because it has been painted, right? As soon as I got it loosened up, that flashing slid right up behind the board. Don't need any nails in that. I mean, it's up underneath the eave here anyway. And then what I did is I measured down about 1 1/8 inches. That's going to allow me to put 3/4 boards and about 2 layers of roofing. And I'll show you how to do that when the time comes. Then what I did is I cut my ledger here, and I put it on between 17 and 18 degree bevels. I don't know whether you can see that, but right there, sorry, my finger, right there, I put it on the bevel, because I am going to finish this right down this way. So it's up underneath. I'm going to put shiplap underneath of this, paint it. And so when I put, what I did is I measured, I'll come in here and show you. I measured a 412 piece, just an angle. And for those of you who don't know, that's about an 18 degree. 412. So you go 4 on the small. Sorry, just let me step back here and do this, and then I'll come back in. So it's 4 there, 12 there. You always want to make sure you're on the same side. So 412 is roughly 17, 18 inch or degree bevel. Then what I did is I measured from here to here. I'm using rough stock. So from there to there was roughly 3 15/16 because I'm using 1 3/4 by almost 3 3/4. It's my own stock, as you can see. And so I took that measurement, and that is the measurement. I actually set my skill saw, you can use a table saw, and I made sure, I guess I'm going to get rained out here, I made sure that this was the 3 15. So when I cut those angles and put my pieces on, it's going to be flush on the top, flush on the bottom. And I can run my boards on the top, boards on the bottom. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out here probably about 3 feet, brace down, put an angle, 45 degree angle support post down. So that's the first step, is getting the flashing up there, getting your ledger board on the right width. So whatever you're cutting, whatever the degree angle of your roof is, mine's 412 on this, make your angle. Pick my stuff up here, we're going to get rained out. Put your angle on, and like I said, if you have a speed square, if you pivot, on the right side here, you put it on the pivot point, you'll actually see it's approximately 17.5, 18 degrees. So that's the angle that you want. And like I said, coming across here, it's just a little under 4 inches. So that was the width of that piece that I made with 18-degree bevels on each side. So the other thing I did, before I get rained out here, the other thing I actually did is laid the 3-inch screws right across here, pairs of them, and to get it anchored to the wall, right through the right through the hardy board. And on this side, I came in, and right above the header, I put another row of 3-inch screws, so I've got it. It's anchored there. So if you're doing this before the siding goes on, I mean, obviously, if you're doing it before the siding goes on, you can put it right directly against the wood and right into the studs, and I did. I found out where my studs were, and put some 3.5-inch screws in as well. But get it on, and like I said, as far as the flashing, if you're not putting your siding on yet, you can flash it afterwards. But this is if you are putting on a stoop or a roof right after you've already got the siding done. So I will come back for the next step, which will be cutting the stringers or the rafters. All right, our framing of the roof is now complete. What I did here, just to show you kind of the process, I took and made my back board here, my ledger board, 1 3/4 inches short, so I could actually lap my outside joints. So this one is going up against and attached to the ledger board. This one is screwed into the ledger board that way, going in that way. So I've got this locked. This is screwed together, and you can see the same type of effect here. This gives you lots of strength in it. I angled my front. I doubled the front. You can kind of see up across here. So these are on 18-degree angles. So when my boards come out, they will set right to the front, and my face board will go on here. Now, my spacings are not 16-inch centers. These ones are roughly 16 on each end. But I actually spaced these oddly. They're about 9 inches apart for a reason. I planed a bunch of my shorter boards. They were about 40 inches long, so I did it so I could use my shorter boards, come over to here, and then just splice on out and just zigzag them back and forth. I was just using up some scraps. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But this is, I've got it out about 35 and roughly 35 inches is what, from that point out to here. And the reason I did that is my material that I made up, my tongue and groove material, when you put 8 of these together, it was roughly 35.5 inches. So I gave myself about a 1/2 inch play. So it's not going to end like a little piece or a little piece here. So it's going to be roughly evenly balanced when I put my material underneath. And so this is ready now for the boards. But before I do that, I am going to rip some, I had a little bit of hardy board left over. I'm going to rip these down to 6-inch strips. I'm going to throw a coat of paint on a couple of them, and that's what I'm using for face boards around it, much like I did up here. Just used hardy board, cement board, and so that will be done. They'll be drying, so when I get done the roof, or done sheathing the roof, I can put the face boards on. So I'll come back for that next step. Okay, I have now got the deck boards on, or the sheathing on. Ended up having to screw them down. I didn't want to do that. I actually had my air gun here, but it's been acting up. I've had it apart. I had it apart when I was building the shed here back over a year and a half ago, but it's doing the same thing, so I don't know if there's one of the seals is gone or whatnot. But anyway, this is now on. I'm going to put some tar paper, faceboard on, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm ready for shingles. So what I've done is I went ahead and put the faceboard on. Like I said, I've painted it. I've got 2 coats of paint on it. I notched it in around my siding. As you can see, I'll caulk that later. Put my drip edge on. Put some tar paper on it. Everything is now ready to go. And underneath here you can see I've got it hanging down enough to allow for my 3/4 inch boards and then some. So let's put some roofing on it. Alright, the roofing's on it. Didn't take a lot. Probably 8 or 10 pieces. What I did with this last one to cover the flashing, I ran this one up underneath the flashing clear up to the wall. There's only one joint in it over here, and that flashing came out over the layer that was in underneath here, so everything is sealed watertight. And then I just cut and brad nailed that one across right on the front, tucked it up in underneath of that, the bottom of that run of siding. So once that sticks, we should be good. It also covers all the flashing, so we are good to go. We are now watertight. I've got to take off for a few minutes, and I'm going to, before I go, I'm going to put another coat of paint on that faceboard. I'll be back. Okay, we have got, it's the next day. We have got the material underneath here. I've got a couple coats on it. I still got to do a little bit of sealing up of the cracks. You can see here and there where the cracks are coming through, or where my tongue and groove didn't quite tighten up, but I'll fill that either with paint or caulking. But I've got 2 coats on this. I'd end up having 2, 4, 6, 8 pieces, and somehow my calculations got a little bit off, and I had to, I don't know whether you can see that, come back here, it's trying to focus in. Let me just see if I can, I had to put a little strip in there, but turned out okay. So I'm in the process now, so I'll come back here so it'll focus. My camera's, there we go. My camera is, doesn't like to stay in focus. So I'm in the process now of getting ready to put my supports on. Now I'm not using 4x4s, these are actually almost 2 inches thick, 1 7/8. These are solid pine. It's not that heavy. I've actually taken all of those supports out, and that stoop will stand there by itself. Obviously I wouldn't want to leave it that way, but where it attached up to the house is strong enough that it's holding most of the weight. So these supports that I'm going to put down here are going to obviously hold the weight, but they don't have to hold a lot of weight, and we don't have the snow load here like we do back in Canada. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on, and I will be back. Well, we are done. Last step was to put on the braces. These are, I've got to touch up some of the paint here where my paint striggled, but other than that, this is the look. I'll just step back here a bit. This is what I have. I put some screws in here, on an angle. There's not a lot of weight there on that. And then I put a couple up here and one up in this way on each side. I have painted everything now, all the cracks are pretty much filled. It turned out really nice. I may put one more coat of paint. It's a little cold today, so I'm not going to do it. But this is my finished stoop. Should shed water away from the door, make the door last a lot longer than what it was going to based upon the amount of water that was splashing down in on it. Just getting all the, I'll come around here at another angle. I worked on this over basically a 3-day period, just part-time. Back here away from it a bit so you can see. So yeah, that is, I think it's going to blend nicely with the building. Now I'm deciding whether to make up the material to do this on a couple of my doors on the house. Eventually over here, I got one out on the back, a couple doors, so I may make up some stuff here today. It's really cold. Weather changed. So yeah. One other thing I wanted to point out is I can't remember whether I noted that in the step. When I was making the tongue and groove stuff, there's a separate video. I'll put the link down in the thing for you, down the bottom of the video of me making these, because I got them all made for my porch of the house already. But this is what they are. They're basically, I mean, it's just some of my pine boards, and I router 3/8 of an inch into each one, and I make my own tongue, glue it in, sand it off, and they work great. A little bit of work, but hey, it's free. So I see my batteries flashing. I'm going to sign off. Appreciate you joining me for this project. If you would, please like and subscribe. We're 1 week closer to starting the house, so stick with me. But until next time, as always, you have a great day.